punctual, 7:45 p.m. my time. So, all right. Welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Matt Zorn. I've been in practice since 2002. I essentially run a specifically classical homeopathy clinical practice, and I do some teaching as well. Um, and I'm going to present essentially a very basic overview of this radar program. Um, I started using radar, I think, back in 1990, 99 or 2000. Don't remember exactly when. But the school where I was, we had a library and there were a bunch of computers set up. And back then, radar was a shadow compared to what it is now. Um, Anyway, so I'm just going to do kind of an overview. There's so much to this program that I'm not going to be able to cover everything in the time we have right now. So I will do kind of like an overview. If you feel like I'm going too quickly, or if you have a question, just get my attention. Let me clear my chats right now. Just let's see. Okay, good, good, good. All right. So, yeah, just a general overview, and then I will share a case. It's actually a case I presented a couple weeks ago. And then I've got some other things just to kind of show you kind of how to find symptoms you might be looking for. So, two things. One is um, whatever you put into the repertory is what you're going to get out. So this is not a substitute for really diligent, thorough case taking. You have to sit and you have to take the case, you have to get proper symptoms, homeopathically relevant symptoms. You have to understand, if you can, the miasm of the case. You have to understand, what needs to be cured, what are the symptoms, which remedy state, the underlying remedy state that's causing the symptoms, um, is being pointed to by the symptoms. Um, the power of this program is that it helps you to find the information that you're looking for in a fraction of the time, right? There are thousands and thousands of entries. Each remedy can have, most of the polycrests have anywhere between 7,000 and sulfur has over 18,000 symptoms associated with it. Most of the polycrests are somewhere in the range of 8 to 12 or 14,000 symptoms. So nobody's going to dedicate all of those to memory. So really the power of this program is when you have actionable information, right? Homeopathically relevant information, this program can help you to find it and then create a clipboard or create uh, a story out of the symptoms, and you can see it on the clipboard, and that'll help to bring up the top remedies that you can then do some research on, the materia medica, and then select the right remedy. So I'm going to showcase essentially the search function because it's really powerful. So let's get started. So the layout here, obviously here there's repertories. So if I want to look and see the repertories I have, you just click there. And then you can see by author's last name, the different repertories. There's some concepts here. Depending on the level of repertory you have, you're going to have more or less repertories. You're going to have more or less references. The references are really what distinguish between the different levels of the RadarOpus. You've got your patients here. You can look up specific remedies if you want, if you don't feel like clicking on it. Um, you can use families in order to analyze the information that you've gathered. I'm not going to really cover that too much. I'm going to cover the search function. Um, what's really important is to kind of know where you are and how to get around, basically. So um, these windows here, so you see this tab, these are all gray tabs. That means they're not active. They're hidden behind this blue tab. This is the one that's active, and this one here is active. You can see it's blue as well. So if I go to repertories, you see this tab is blue. So there's a little a caret pointing downwards here, or an arrow pointing downwards. I can click on that. Currently, I have Boninghausen's or Boger's repertory. I've got Boricke's repertory. Murphy version 3 open, repertory of pneumonia from Pulford. I went over some pneumonia, a pneumonia case, I think it was last week. And then synthesis Adonis, which is a synthesis of many of these repertories all together. So if I want to bounce around, if I want to go to open up Murphy, I just click there, and you see here the heading is changed. So this is Murphy's repertory that's open. If I want to go back, I can either click back here, and it takes me back to Adonis, or just anytime you click back, it's going to take you back to the last page that was open. So again, I can go to Adonis. I can close all these out if I want to. I can change the type of repertory. I don't use this very much, but I want to show only remedies, only minerals, only plants. I tend to like casting a wide net and making sure I've got everything available when I repertorize. So we're going to start here with Adonis. The way here, if you click on these binoculars here, this is the classic. So I just clicked, I put my mouse over it and I clicked. These are all your chapters for your repertory, right? And so if I want to, let's say the patient sweats on the head in sleep, I can go to head. I can go I'm just going to type in perspiration of the scalp, and then I'm scrolling down to sleep, and then during. And this is your rubric for the scalp that perspires during sleep. That's a very slow way of doing it. I see that there's a question there. I'll get to it in 1 second. Let me show you a quicker way to do it. So this is the window that's open. I'm just going to type in head and press enter. I'm going to type in perspiration. Okay, I'm going to go down, perspiration of scalp. I'm going to type in sleep, and then D for during, and enter. That's the quickest, most efficient way to get to the rubric. The thing is, as you all may know, that the repertory has a certain language to it. And so the words have to be in a certain order, or else you won't be able to find the appropriate rubric that you're looking for. And that's where the search function will come in, because with the search function, you can go look. If you don't know the exact rubric you're looking for, you can type in a keyword, limit it to the chapter, and it'll pull up a handful of rubrics instead of thousands of rubrics looking for one particular rubric. Okay, let me see what the question is. Oh, just somebody saying hello. So the quickest way again, so let's say, let me see, somebody gets angry easily. So anger is an emotion. So I'm going to type in mind, and just make sure I'm on the right tab. Mind, press enter, anger, press enter, and then easily, enter, enter. So this is anger, easily losing one's temper. You've got 110 remedies in here. The black are first degree. The blue italics are second degree. Third degree is red and bold. And fourth degree should be red, bold, and underlined, like Natmir here, Staphysagria here, Belladonna. These are all grade 4s. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 is red, grade 4 is red and underlined. So what if you are talking about is what you're talking about in search with fewer references is called reverse repertory. Search fewer references called. I'm not really familiar with the term reverse repertory, so I can't really answer that. Sorry. Oh, there's Q&A over here. You need to open up so you need to open up one repertory at a time. Okay. So if I want to search in Adonis, I can do that. But so that's actually a good question. Let me go to my search function, which is hiding here. So there's a basic search, which is a magnifying glass, and an advanced search. I never use the basic search. I always use advanced search. And the reason is I can search words here. I can search remedies. I don't use families very often. So I don't want to talk about that because I just don't know all the ins and outs of it. And then I can look up the different chapters. So the question is, what if, let's say the person, I want to look up the rubric for insolent, okay? Lacking respect. So I'm going to look up that word and I want to look it up. Now I can search in all references, all repertories. So what I did was I went up here. See, this is, you put the information that you want to look for down here, and then you have to give the computer a command to go look for it and where you want it to look for it. So when I do it, there's a drop-down window here. I can look in just the current document that's open, which is Synthesis Adonis, all documents. So it'll look in every single document, all the references, all the repertories, all the journals, all the therapeutic references, everywhere. But you asked about repertories, so let's just stay with repertories. So I want to look at all repertories for the term insolence. So so I looked for that word, and these are the repertories. In Boger, there's 4 entries. Synthesis, there's 7. Clark, there's 2. Kent, there's 4. So I'm going to go to Adonis here. So I'm going to go to insolence. I'm going to double click on it. Okay. And what I want to show you, it tells you, gives you a little definition. You did it not polite. And then there's a little blue flag here. Insolence is rude and disrespectful behavior. So it's giving you a definition. And then if there's a black flag, it will tell you kind of how it presents, what it looks like clinically or in practice. Insolence is a lack of respect and may be detected in patients during consultation, although few will admit to it. Look for an attitude of excessive casualness, confidence, and the impertinence implicit in all the movements. This person is ill-mannered and completely lacking in modesty. So the blue flag gives you a definition, and the black flag gives you a bit more of a definition and kind of the clinical presentation of what it might look like. Okay. So I'll jump back to this in a second. I can go to Boger, double click on it. And what Boger and Boninghausen do is they'll combine words. So you'll see here, so these are essentially synonyms, and in the, or they're very close in nature. In synthesis, they actually break them down into separate rubrics. So let me just double click on this one. So in Boninghausen's repertory's got contemptuous, mocking, scornful, insolence. And there's a little blue flag again there. Synthesis. So they've got this more as contemptuous. So I actually like to use this because sometimes it's very difficult to tell, is this person being contemptuous or are they also being insolent? Maybe they're being both. So I'll show you how to combine those if they're being both. So let me just go back. I can press the back button. This right here, all these blue italics links, these are rubrics that you can look at. If this one doesn't fit exactly what you're looking for, this gives you ideas as to similar rubrics that give you kind of the same idea of what you may be looking for in the case. Disposition to contradict, cursing, defiant, mocking, rudeness. And all you need to do is just click on it and it'll take you to not polite. And there's a black flag there. So it'll tell you kind of like the clinical presentation. Not every entry is going to have a blue flag and a black flag. Most of them do, many of them do, some of them will not. All right. So you can search for a particular term if you're looking for a particular word or a rubric, and you want to see, is that rubric in more than one repertory? Again, just the way you do it, you put the word in that you're looking for, and then you ask the computer to look at all repertories, which it'll look in the repertories that are currently open and also in the ones that are closed, or it'll just look in the repertories that are open if that's what you want. Okay. So no, they are not merged. Open the new tab. Yeah. So let me see, let me go back. So these tabs, so again, I just want to, one of the things that it took me a while to learn and get comfortable with as far as repertory is navigating. Just kind of figure, okay, where am I and how do I get to where I need to go, right? So that's really, really important because you can have the program in front of you, and if you don't know the next keystroke or the next thing to click on, you're stuck. So I just want to kind of, keep reminding you as we go through this that this is where we are and this is how we get to where we're going. So again, the different tab, I can close all these tabs. I can close that one out. I can close out. These are all the remedies that I currently had open. I can close those. I can open up references. I want to, let's say there's a particular reference book. See, these are all the reference books. I don't use all these. I have favorites. I have doctors that I think are more dependable. Like I like Boger. I like Boricki. Um, I like Burnett. I like Clark. Um, I like Gentry, Herring. So I don't use all of these, but I know where to go and look for the ones that I want. But let's say I wanted to look at Photo Master. I mean Fatak, excuse me. I double clicked on Fatak. This is Fatak's Materia Medica. Okay. So now I have a repertory tab open and a Materia Medica tab open. And this is the only Materia Medica tab that's open. The repertory tab has a little downward facing triangle, which means there are multiple repertories that are open that I can access if I want. Again, the binoculars are always it's kind of like taking you to the table of contents. So I could click on that. There's an introduction, then the Materia Medica. I can click on the Materia Medica. And then these are the list of remedies. I can start looking, I can either scroll down, or if I know which remedy I'm looking for, let's say I want to find remedy Sina Maritima. I just typed in CIN, and when I typed in CIN, these are the only two remedies that have CIN. Click on Sina Maritima. I can look the different areas that it affects if I want, or I can just press enter. It'll give me just a picture of the remedy, generals, right? This is for talk, so he's going to give you what makes it better, what makes it worse. He gives you the modalities in the beginning, gives you the mental picture. It's very much like like a Boger synoptic key. I want to get out of there and go back to my repertories. I just click on the repertory tab, and I want to get back to Adonis. I click on that. Takes me back to Adonis. We have some more questions. What was the question here? Can you ask RadarOpus to show you all the rubrics with a specific remedy in it? Yes. So very specific question, but it's a good question. So again, I go to the search function. This is the single, the basic search or single search. I want the advanced search. That's the one I use. So this magnifying glass here says advanced search mode. I click on that. This is where I put all the remedies. So we were on Sina, so I just type in CINA. There's Sina Maritima. So I want to show you, I clicked on it and you see it's here. Let me just open this up. If I double click on any tab, it'll get rid of this sidebar here. Watch. So I just double clicked on the search. The sidebar's over on the side. If I want it back, I just double click on the tab and it comes back. So double click. It just gives me more space on the screen. So you see here, all of these are these circles with the downward facing triangles. They're all like a off-white, kind of a grayish. That means they're not active. So I've typed in Sina, it sits there, but it's not active yet because this isn't blue. So I need to press enter. Once I press enter, you see the difference. So now I can look up Sina. If I click on this here, I can change what I want to look for this particular remedy. I can look for, so what I said earlier, it has grades 1 through 4. Let's say I just want to see Sina Maritima with just grade 3 and 4. I get rid of grade 2 and grade 1. Okay. So I can change that. Some rubrics are too big. Once you start to get to 300 to 400 remedies in a rubric, it's very big and it's not very useful. So maybe I want to tell the computer, show me Sina Maritima with less than or equal to 50 remedies. Okay. So now what it's going to do, it's going to look up Sina Maritima in grade 1 through 4 in the rubrics containing 50, let me see, 50 remedies or less, and I have to press OK in order to make it do that. Okay. So now I'm going to go to, I'm just going to open repertories. Give it a second. So Adonis has 2,066 entries, and this is for Sina in all of the rubrics under 50. Okay. So there's 2,066. If I get rid of that and I want to look at all, I press OK. All open repertories. So the 2,066 has gone up to 3,836 entries for Sina. So you can, Boriki's got 180, Boger's got 1,531. So you can definitely find every single rubric for a particular remedy. One of the ways to get like the keynotes, right? Keynotes are the higher grades. Get rid of 1 and 2. So now it's just going to look for the 3rd and 4th degree for Sina. And then we'll look in the repertories. Adonis as, so it's a big remedy for bulimia, very, very capricious. We know this for this remedy. Delusions in the evening, waking them up from sleep. You see, I want to point something else out here. You see all these little gray numbers and letters? These are the authors that have confirmed the particular remedy for the particular rubric. So here, Herring and Nur have both confirmed Sina has this particular delusion in the evening. What's evening in the repertory? Evening is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Inconsolable. Sina is extremely inconsolable. Indifference to caresses, irritable in children. It's a big remedy for worms. We see it's a grade 3, irritability and worm affections. Jumping in children in the evening, very mischievous. So searching for and studying a remedy like this can kind of give you the gist of the remedy and show you the different rubrics and how it's expressed. Okay. So I'm going to cross this out. So it's gotten rid of that. Let me see if there's another question. And do I recommend using it? So what you're talking about, so there's synthesis, there's full repertory, and then there's quantum, which is conservative. Quantum just gets rid of the much newer remedies and the newer entries. So let's just take, before I go there. So, okay, so rudeness has 102 entries, and we can see there's, I think, Norland. These are snake remedies, tend to be rude. Composite or arnica and Sina and chamomile tend to be rude. Asterales and composite are the same. Asteraceae and composite are the same family, just 2 different names. That's the full repertory. If I go to quantum, it went from 102 down to 47. So it's gotten rid of all of those newer entries. If you want to be more traditional, you can use this. If you're that type of practitioner that really likes the newer information that's coming out and you want to rely on it, I would use the other repertory, the full repertory. Okay. So they're just different levels of how much information's in there. The older, more conservative information versus the newer stuff. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it's a so again, I could click on patients here, and it'll just give you a list of patients. Let me give me a second. Oops. I'm going to click on patients. I'm going to show you how to create a new patient. So what I currently have open, I can either save to what I opened it up as. I can save it to another existing, or I can just clear all the clipboards. This is not an actual patient clipboard here, so I can just clear those. And I do administrative. And So remember what I said, if I want, see how there's not a lot of space here? I double click the tab here, and now I have plenty of space to write the first name, last name. So you can put your title in. I put patient's first name, patient's last name, gender or other. You can put a tax code in if you want, date of birth. And then you can make notes if you want to make notes. Privacy agreement, you can put the person's address, place of birth. So there's a lot of information that you can put in here if you want. Okay. And then you have to press save here. And once you save it, their name, let's just say Joe Smith, male. I'm not going to put the date of birth in, but if I click on that, you see here Joe Smith popped up. And there's the age. It'll give you the actual date of birth if you put it in. And then these over here are your clipboards. I'm going to double click or right click on the clipboard. I can save analysis, recall, change the clipboard name. So there's a lot of different things. I can clear the whole clipboard if I want to, cut the clipboard content, paste, deselect. I can add more clipboards. If I want fewer, I can go fewer. Right click again, fewer. And if you notice down at the bottom here, the clipboards are disappearing. Right click, fewer. So you can add clipboards or take clipboards away. Sometimes you're working on a case, you're working on it for months and months. Let's say you just have 4 clipboards, and each clipboard is for the different time that you've seen the patient, and you want to add more clipboards or more patient visits. You can add more if you want. Okay. So let me go to Adonis. Let's add some rubrics. So one of the way I typically do it, I just grab rudeness here, and I grab it with my mouse, and I just pull it over. Oops. So I'm just typing in mind. You can grab that and just pull it in. If I just enter, I could also grab and pull it in, and it's going to tell me the symptom is already in this clipboard. So I can say, okay. The other way you can do it is you can press this little arrow here. You can see the arrow is pointing towards the clipboard. So wherever this hand is, let's go to abrupt, right? Abrupt is rough, and brusque is a little blue flag that's giving you a definition. If I want to add that, I just click there, and there, it just added it. And let's put in, let's say the person tends to dwell on things from the past, right? So again, the quickest way to navigate here, type in mind, enter, dwelling, past disagreeable occurrences. So I'm going to type in PST, enter, enter. And I can click there, and it's added. So I have 3 rubrics there. Let's say the patient also gets a headache anytime they ride in a car. So I'm going to type in head, enter, pain, enter, riding, enter, car or carriage, enter. And then it aggravates, right? So A-N-G-G, enter, enter. So these are the remedies that get headaches riding in a car. So I'm just going to drag and drop, or I can click this. So now I want to see what my clipboard says as far as potential remedies. And again, garbage in, garbage out, right? If I heard this years ago, and it was essentially, if it's a well-taken case, a room full of people that have been in, for lack of a better term, novices, will have a very good chance of finding the right remedy. If it's a poorly taken case, a room full of people that have been practicing for over 25 years will have a hard time finding the remedy. So really the linchpin of good clinical practice is making sure you've taken a very complete case, all right? So let's, this is just for, as an example, we've got rudeness, abrupt, dwelling on past disagreeable occurrences, headache riding in a car. Lycopodium's #1, heparin sulf #2, nitric acid. If I want to go to any of these remedies and just read the materia medica on them. I just drag the mouse over it. So there's nitric acid, double click on it, and it'll take me to nitric acid. This is nitric acid in Boger's synoptic key. I can drop down and go to radar keynotes if I want, and it's going to change the materia medica. It's anxiety about health, nitric acid, I think is a grade 3 or grade 4 under anxiety about health. Lots of fear of death, disease. So if I want to read up on that, see if it matches the case, I can do that. I can go to Lippe or Allen. So it's very easy to jump from the clipboard to any of these remedies. I can do things with this analysis. Okay, one of the things I can do is in this little chess piece, change the analysis strategy. So I can click down and drop this window down right now. There's a little check mark. Sum of symptoms. So it's looking at the sum, right? If you add these up, lycopodium's got 9, right? There's 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. So that's why lycopodium is number 1. And HEPAR is 6. I'm looking at these numbers here, right? This means that it's in 4 out of the 4 symptoms I've chosen. CP is in 3 out of the 4. It's not under rudeness, right? Ignatia is in 3 out of the 4 with a total of 6. Nat Muir, because it's a grade 4 and dwells in past disagreeable occurrences, is a grade 6. Anyway, I can change the strategies. If I want to look at small remedies, now it's looking at these much smaller, hafnium, dama, which is a deer, Haliatus leucocephalus, heroin, metarhion, vanilla. I personally don't use this very much. And the reason that this is done, let me go back. The reason this is done, not every remedy is equal in the sense that we don't know the same about every remedy, right? The materia medica is constantly growing, the repertoire is constantly growing, so it's a work in progress. And what happens is if you use if you use the repertory in the sum of symptoms, which is not wrong, your polycrests are always going to be at the front, right? And sometimes the polycrests don't cure the case, right? Many times they do, but sometimes, it's good to look at smaller remedies. So you can just change the strategy, change the analysis. Small remedies and small rubrics, sum of symptoms, sum of degrees. You can use Herskew analysis if you have. There's Farouk Master's score analysis. There's just different strategies to analyze the repertoire, the rubrics that you've chosen. Right? If I'm really convinced, if I'm really into sensation method or I'm really into kingdoms, and I'm absolutely convinced this is a plant case, I can look at just plants. And so it's going to give me it's going to get rid of all of the imponderables and the minerals and the animals. I don't do that so much. So I can double click on this or right click, I'm sorry, and just delete that. I used to be really, 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 really into sensation method, and it is wonderful if you get deep enough, if you get down to, because there's 7 different levels, and if you get down to level 5 and 6, and the patient is speaking from the sensation or on that energy level, it works. Everything kind of lines up. It's a very elegant way of doing it. In my experience, probably 20, 30% of the patients can actually get to that sensation level. And one of the biggest problems with sensation method and jumping to a kingdom is that if you're in a superficial level, you're level 1, 2, or 3, there's so much overlap between kingdoms that it's very easy to make a mistake and say, okay, this person needs a remedy from the animal kingdom because they said this, this, and this. If they're not speaking from source, from those deeper levels, where it's survival of the fittest and me versus them and all that, and you haven't honed the ability to see that, you can jump to animal remedies when it's a plant case. You can jump to mineral remedies when it's an animal case. So anyway, over the years, I've kind of backed off and gone more to classical case taking and prescribing. So anyway, so you can just change. If you just want to look at nosodes, you can do that. Just different ways of analyzing the information you put in. Select a map. So to be honest, I don't use a lot of these. The only ones I use Farouk Master's Lax and Homeopathy, And so this window opens up. You can go to the book, or if you just want an overview, this is an overview of what milk remedies, how they present according to Fluid Master. If I want to look at lac equinum, this gives you kind of an overview of like themes for lac equinum, lac leo, lac caninum, lac felinum. So, and you can take this and you can analyze it, your repertorization, and you can see where the milks land in your repertorization. So that's one way of doing it. The other map that I use, uh, Sankaran, go there, and here's the different plants, and then there's miasms. These are the 10 miasms that we're currently using, that have been developed, right? The original three are Sora, psychosis, syphilis, and then back in the 60s, 70s, cancer miasm and tubercular were kind of brought to light. And then Sankaran and his crew really came up with the acute typhoid malarial ringworm, leprosy miasm. And so there are approximately 10 miasms now that we understand in homeopathy. So if I'm really clear that this is a psychotic case, right? They avoid everything, there's acceptance of everything. They there's a lot of apprehension, they feel like there's a weakness that can be exposed. I can click on psychosis. And so it's going to give me, based on the rubrics I put in, the remedies that are in the psychotic miasm. So metarainum, caustica, pulsatilla, you go down the line, polystyrene, thulia, lac caninum, antimonium crudum, and so on and so on. Again, you have to be sure that that's the miasm that you're in, or you will miss the remedy. So that's just a couple ways to analyze something else. Let me just show you. So if I click on these, they turn blue, right? I click here, I'm going to command and click, and then they're both blue. So what I want to do, I'm going to right click, and now I can do things with this. I can group. So if I have two rubrics, let me give you an example. So I'm just opening up back to the repertories, and I know there's a particular rubric under nose, sneezing, cough, after. There's a Kunze note here. There's 20 remedies. I'm just going to pull this in here. But I also know under the cough chapter, sneezing, ends in sneezing. And there's a Kunze dot, or Kunze note. These two rubrics are exactly the same. One happens to be in the nose chapter, one happens to be in the cough chapter. The remedies are essentially identical. This one has 25, I think the other one has 20. Yeah, so there's a 5 remedy difference. What I would do in this case, I would click, and this is actually a very, very useful symptom in a case. If you've ever seen this, I've seen it twice, where it's usually a child, they'll cough and they go and sneeze right after they cough. So sneezing after cough, or cough ends in a sneeze. Same rubric. The rubrics are expressing the same symptom. So I right click, I go to group or combine, I create a new rubric and press combine. Now we've got 30 remedies. So there were actually a difference of 5 remedies between the two. So it's just a way to cast a wider net. So I can also change, so I right-clicked again, I right-clicked. I can change the intensity if I really feel like, man, this person really dwells on things from the past. They're always talking about things from the past. They're living in the past. I can right-click, change the intensity. Let's say give it a 7. And you're going to change where the remedies are in relationship to each other. I can take it back. I can put it back on a 0. You're going to see that mirror jump back. Where is that mirror jump? Oh, I gave it a 0. So right click, make it a 1. And that mirrors back. So I can group, I can change qualification. If I know for sure, so let's say in this rubric, right? Let me just add a couple of other rubrics. Let's say the patient is abstraction of mind. Let's pull that one in there. And let's say when they cough, they pass urine. Okay, so I'm just typing in bladder, urination, involuntary, cough, cough, press enter. Now, a lot of Kunze dots there. These are the biggest remedies here for patients that have weak sphincters, bladder sphincters, and when they cough, they pass urine. So there are, if you look down here, there are 3 symptoms and there are 204 remedies. But we know that every time the patient coughs, it ends in a sneeze. So what I want to do is I want to make that an elimination rubric. So I right click and then change the qualification to an eliminative rubric. So we're going to go from 102 down to 30. So these are the remedies here that have, let's say I want to just say, I want to look at just the remedies that have a cough that ends in sneezing and they pass urine when they cough. I'll make that an eliminative. So these are your remedies. Belladonna, sulfur, capsicum, and so on, all the way down. Brownia, Drosera, Sorinum, Seneca. And let's say I'm really interested in this remedy, Oinente. Okay, it's in the it's actually in the Umbelliferae family. It's related to Cicuta inconium. So my mouse is a little bit off. So let me just do this. Just double clicked on that. There's Oinente, then Boriki. That was his entry. So if you want to see which authors put it, like I said, put the remedy in the rubric, their names are in gray, and you can double click just to see who, like H2 is Hahnemann, K is Kent, C is Clark. So I double click, Oinente Cocada. It tells you where the region, cerebral spinal axis, worse from injuries. So that's the remedy. I'm going to go to the search function and I'm going to type in Oinente Cocada. Remember, so I clicked on it with my mouse, but you see it hasn't activated yet. So I pressed enter. Now it's active. And I want to see how this remedy relates to cough. So in the word search, I type in cough. So again, you see that the circle here is not active. So I press enter. And I can look in all repertories and all materia medica. So I'm going to look everywhere, all documents for that remedy and its relationship with cough. So Boriki has respiration, cough, concomitant with spasm. So there's spasming with cough as a concomitant symptom of cough. Ner always has some very interesting rubrics, very descriptive. Cough at night 4 or 5 times and tickling at the top of the throat. Rattling the lower chest before cough. Lungs rouse, rattling during cough. Materia medica, we'll see what Clark says about it. Cough. Interrupted constantly, sighing and convulsive cough, hardly perceptible. Cough 4 or 5 days, aggravated at night, excited by tickling at the top of the throat. Archibald, notes, interrupted by sighing. What you're going to see here is you'll see usually an original entry, usually from one of the older homeopaths or from approving, and then the other homeopaths will repeat it in the materia medica because it's something that's reliable. So they'll just repeat it. Let me see if there's any questions. How do I get to the authors and flags to show up. Certainly. Oh, the maps of the miasms. Let me go back. It's in the clipboard. The maps of the miasms. You go to the tree. You go to here, this map, and you press select the map. You go to the miasm, down to Sunchrome. And then over up here in the corner, right hand corner says miasms. And these are the different miasms. And if you want to apply one to the clipboard, let's see, just press cancer miasm. I just brought the mouse over the cancer miasm, I pressed it, and then I go to the. So of these remedies, only nitric acid. If I get rid of this, I'm command clicking both of these, right click, and I'm gonna get rid of the qualification and make them normal again. And then remember I said if I double click the tab up here, I'm gonna grab this blue bar here, I'm gonna drag it over. So these are the remedies here that, according to Suncron, are in the cancer miasm that are in these particular rubrics. Nitric acid, ignatia, phenylruta, agaricus, argentum, nit, xerium, agnes castus. So that's how you get to the maps. I'm pretty sure not all of the as far as the Kunzli dots. I've seen those even before Adonis. Not all of the rubrics have them. So let me just give you some background. So Jos Kunzli was a very prolific homeopath, and what he would do was put a note or a dot next to rubrics that he found extremely reliable in clinical practice, right? And I think we're all aware rubrics are not all created equal. Some rubrics are absolutely useless, right? They're not homeopathically specific. They're not remedy specific. They're very general, or they're just useless. And some of them are extremely useful. You see them relatively regularly in practice, and when you see them in practice and you use the remedies that are in that particular rubric, you get good results. So what Jos Kunzli did was essentially he put a dot next to the rubrics and the remedies that he found useful. So that's why they're there, but they're not in every rubric. Let's see. Whoever's helping in the chat there, I appreciate it. It's a little difficult for me to kind of hop back and forth and stay up to speed with everybody. So I appreciate the help. Okay, we'll get to all that. Let me see what else. We talk about references. Let me just go back and make sure I covered references. So you have different references. I'm just going to click on Pulford's homeopathic Materia Medica. Again, the binoculars take you to essentially the Materia Medica therapeutics. I click on that. I can type in any remedy that I want, or I can just click on it. There's Cedron, there's clinical and symptoms. I can press go to here. That'll take me to Cedron. You get an overview there. With the remedy, Shankerts, Potrix, which is a copperhead. So there's a lot of information here. These are keynote Materia Medica with keynotes. You have Alan's keynotes, Archibald, Lupe. I like Archibald, I like Alan. So go to comparative if you want to differentiate and compare different remedies. You got therapeutics. I'm just going to slide down here a lot in therapeutics. Go down further. You've got provings here, which you can get into. Let me just, let's see. Let's look at, as an example. So I'm going to go back to the search function a lot because the advanced search function it's extremely useful. It helps you to get to where you want to get, okay? So let's look at a remedy like I don't know, Staphysagria. And let's look at cough. And so remember, I'm typing in what I want, and then I'm pressing enter in order to make these turn blue to activate them. And what I want to do, I'm going to go down to references, and I'm going to go to provings. And now it's going to show me the proving. So we have Alan, Staphysagria, and this is the proving that Alan did. And all of the entries under Staphysagria for cough. Okay, so if you want to go back to the original work, here's Hahnemann. Materia medica pura. When she coughs, the urine was ejected involuntarily, severe coryza without cough. So you can look up remedies and particular words, and you can really look anywhere you want. You can look at all references, all open, different types, materia medica keynotes, journals, philosophy, clinical cases. Look up clinical cases. See, there's nothing there for Staphysagria. And it's not on the version I have. Let me see, repertories. I talked about the tabs, right? So right now I'm in the search tab. This is the repertory tab. This is the materia medica tab. So if I open up more materia medica, it's going to go into this tab here and keep adding. That's my patient. Search function. Let me go back to the search function. So you can type in words, you can type in a single word, or you can type in multiple words. So let's type in urination. Press enter and cough. Enter. So I want to make sure I can look up at least one of these words, which means it'll look up every single either rubric or every single word, every single rubric with urination in the repertory, every single word, every word, every time urination is referenced in the in references. But I want to look at both. Okay. So I want to look up all of the rubrics that have the term urination and cough in them together. So all repertories. So there are 11 entries in synthesis. There's 39 in there. Murphy has 5. So you can see it highlights the words that the search terms you looked here, you put in here. It's highlighted them here. Involuntary cough accompanied by urination, copious cough after urination ameliorates. If I want to see that, I just double click on it. So that is a very interesting remedy. What is that? RadarOpus obsoletus. A rat snake. Okay. That's a new entry. So that would not be there in quantum. Let me see. Let's say, so let me go back to something else that's really important. So remember what I said, the terminology being in the right order is what's going to help you get to the rubric that you're looking for. And so let's say that you don't know the correct order of the wording, but you know what you're looking for, right? So as an example, and some of you may know the remedy, the patient says, when I have my asthmatic attacks, the only thing that really helps is I stick my tongue out, okay? So asthmatic attacks is under respiration. So you can either go to the binoculars and kind of find respiration, which is here, okay? Or you can just type in respiration. And if I type in tongue, it doesn't come up. And then sticking doesn't come up. You have to think of the synonym, right? The synonym is protruding, but you see it's not there. So I'm going to go to the search function. I'm going to go into respiration. That's enter. And I can type in either tongue, or I can type in protruding. So I'm going to look in all repertories. I mean, here, asthmatic accompanied by tongue gray, protruding the tongue. So respiration, this is the terminology and the way you had to look for it. Respiration asthmatic, protruding the tongue ameliorates. And the only remedy is metronidum. And you have all these different authors that have corroborated this symptom. So we'll go back to the search function. Impeded cramps and cramps in the tongue. So this means that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's an interesting rubric. So what I just demonstrated is something that I actually still use. You know, I can't remember the exact phraseology, right? How to put each word in the exact order to get to the rubric that I want. But I know of a lot of rubrics, and you can't commit them all to memory. And so finding one word and looking in a particular chapter will really help you to, you know, find what you're looking for. Let's see. That was just one of the examples I wanted to give you. So depending on the chapter, and usually when I look in chapters, let's just go to head. You see all it says head, all chapters, head chapter, pathology, head and eyes chapter. Anytime I look in a particular chapter, I go to the one that's all caps. Enter. So now it's going to look in the head chapter, and let's say the person when they get a headache or they feel confusion in the head. So now it's going to look up the word confusion under the head chapter. And then actually, this would be another example. So there's 21 entries, confusion in the head, then there's head pain, confusion in the head, complaints in the head accompanied by confusion. This is the rubric. So the patient gets a headache and they get confused with their headache. This would be the rubric. With headache, there it is. Confusion of the mind with headache. It's actually a very good rubric. So just different examples. So you, again, going back, advanced search, chapters here, all the remedies are here. And the words, the terms you want to look for here, just be sure that are you searching for all the words that you put in? Are you looking for each word individually here? At least one of these. So if I put in 5 words here, let's say wood, water. So now it's going to look for, in the head chapter, all of the rubrics that have confusion, wood, and water. So I go to the repertories. Those are sensations, like there's water in the head. Sensation, so there's 100 different entries. Head boiling sensation as if boiling water in the head. Cold water aggravates confusion in the head. Confusion, lots of water. Heaviness, numbness, wooden sensation in the occiput. Okay, so you can really look up any term you want, and you can narrow it down to a particular chapter, or you can narrow it down to a particular remedy. One other thing, when you're searching, like I'm going to type in OP and you see nothing comes up. With some of the entries, you have to put in a period. I type in OP period, and there's the remedy opium. It won't show up if I don't put the period. Okay? Some other remedies are like that as well. Pulsatile is not. But there's a handful of remedies when you type in the abbreviation, it won't show up until you put a period. Just another really important point. Let me see. We talked about the blue links, right? I think I did. Yeah, I did. So, you know, heat and fever are interchangeable. One of the reasons in the synthesis in Adonis that you'll get different terms that mean essentially the same thing, because this is a synthesis of different repertories. Some doctors used heat for fever, and some doctors use the term fever. So sometimes you have to combine them. Question. What else did I want to? Navigation. I talked about that. Again, you can use the mouse, which is kind of very slow and clunky, or you can just, whatever tab is open, that's where your keystrokes are going to activate and help you to move around. I want to go to male. It's male. Male and female genitalia, or male genitalia. Male genitalia is the more the one I'm looking for if I'm looking for male anatomy for genitalia. I actually took a case the other day, and a child had fibrosis. The V here means that it can also be a veterinary rubric. Um, let's see, what else do I want to cover? There's still quite a bit to cover. I talked about clicking on Materia Medica. Any of these you can click on. I can click on HR, see how that is, Constantine Herring. Get rid of that. You can click on the remedy, double click on Mercurius. You can read up on that. You can change the Materia Medica. You've got 4 options here. Archibald's keynotes. I'm Mercurius. I'm going to close the tab out again. Authors, clipboards, talk about eliminating, combining the different strategies. I'm showing you how to create cases. So let me just go here. This is just a presentation I'm working on. So let's say you're working with a baby, an infant that's breastfeeding. Okay. So the child that's breastfeeding, called a nursling. So I type in, and I'm going to go to all laboratories. I do this sometimes if I'm working with a child that's breastfeeding and they have a particular, why is it doing that? Give me 1 second. And then synonyms, related antonyms. We try that again, and it should open up a lot more than just that. Give me 1 second. Figure out. Switch. Okay. Yes. I'm not too sure why this is happening. But there are multiple, that's over 100 entries with, let's see. There we go. So, there we go. Bulimia, nurslings, coryza, epistaxis in nurslings. You want to find nurslings, it's usually almost always under children. You look up nose, epistaxis or nosebleeds in children, nurslings. Vomiting of milk, right? Vomiting type of milk, curdled milk in nurslings. So it's just a very useful way of can look up hiccups or jaundice. The thing is, if I look up jaundice, right, it's under the skin. So I go to the jaundice, and I go to skin, jaundice, enter discoloration yellow. I can double click on that, and I don't actually want to back up. I'm just pressing backspace in children, in newborns. So there's a Kunze dot there, Kunze note, and these are the remedies you would consider for newborns that have excessive jaundice. Jaundice to a mild degree is normal for newborns, but it can turn to the point where they get icterus, the sclera turn yellow, and their skin can get very yellow. Anyway, these are the remedies you would consider for that. This was actually a case that I shared a couple weeks back. So let me just kind of go through the symptoms. So 3 weeks ago, this child had asthma and a cough, crying uncontrollably. So we would use for that particular rubric, crying uncontrollably, so nothing is able to console them. So we would look under, I'm just going to type in MIND, inconsolable. I use this rubric here. So it says grief inconsolable. I use this rubric anytime I have a patient that is inconsolable, whether it's crying or anger or just in a state where you can't bring them down, you can't calm them down. Seen as a big remedy where there's not a whole lot of grief, but they're just, no matter what you do, you're rocking them, you're patting them, you're walking them inside, you're walking them outside, you're trying to feed them. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm back. My Wi-Fi froze up for a second. Um, Hopefully everybody can hear me. There was a question about how do I compare remedies, right? So let's type in pulsatilla. So you want to compare pulsatilla and Staphysagra, both in the Ranunculaceae family. Um, so this is how we do it. So we've got two remedies. You can add in as many as you want. Um, and I go to remedies here, and I can click in remedies with all of these, meaning it's going to find all of the rubrics with both of these, with at least one. So you can kind of compare the two. Symptoms for each remedy individually and symptoms which they have in common and exclusive, meaning which rubrics have pulsatilla and Staphysagra in them. Okay. So that's one way to do it. And then we can change the size. Let's say I just want to see, let me just put in 50 again, less than or equal to 50, and then I press OK. And then Staphysagra will do the same thing, less than or equal to 50. And so what it's going to do is it's going to look in the repertories and it's going to pull out all the rubrics with 50 or fewer remedies per rubric and has both Staphysagra and Pulsatilla. And there should be quite a bit of overlap because they're both in the same family, so they're going to have a lot of similarities. So that's one way to do it. You can pretty much compare any remedies you'd like by putting them in here. You can change and configure these. I'm going to get rid of this here. That's okay. Also tell the same thing. That's one way. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions. Okay. Let's see, I'd like to know what is shown in the icon. Taoist Mandala. Let me see. Hmm. Um, Let me show you one other thing. I'm looking for what you said about the Taoist meaning yang. Give me a second. You notice here, there's a plus here, and a plus here. That means there are more options here. If I click on that, shopping, zoom out, screen, I can screenshot, I can print, I can zoom in, close that off. Here, there's backward and forward in history. The reason it's kind of combining those or putting those in separate windows is because my screen isn't wide enough right now. So there, you have all of those. Talk about the search function. I'm still looking for the beginning line. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. So there's a question about using the families. I really don't use the families all that much, and I don't know a lot about it, so I apologize for that. What I basically wanted to do with the time that we had here, is to kind of just go over, do an overview of the basics of how to get to where you need to get. One of the main issues I had as I was learning radar, it was navigating, trying to find where I wanted to get and which keystrokes to hit and things like that in order to get around to where I wanted to get. This is another way if you want to look up remedies. You click on that and you can just type in pretty much, there are thousands of remedies in here. And what it's going to do is it's going to go into the references and it's going to pull up the different references where the remedy is. Another question. It wasn't there, it was my internet, I apologize. What version do I have? You know what? I bought this version. It should tell me right now. About radar. I have version 3.3.14. And I started slowly. I started with a very like a lower version, and over the years I slowly upgraded. So essentially, that's what I wanted to cover. The case that I took, I could just, it's really about finding the different symptoms, right? So this child was inconsolable, and this is when the cough started. So what that is essentially is a cough from emotional causes. And there was let me give you an example. This is an example here. So the cough, we can look up cough, right? So I just typed in cough here under chapter and respiration. So what I want to do is I want to look in the cough chapter and the respiration chapter, and I want to look up different emotions. So I want to see how the emotions, and if it's a specific emotion, you can use it. So hysteria, emotions, anger. And whenever I put in anger, I always put in vexation, grief. So let's see how these words, these emotions affect cough and respiration. So look in the repertoire. And you'll see here in synthesis, anger. So let me point this out here real quick. You'll see here Boninghausen, B7A, I double click on that. Clemens von Boninghausen. One of the strategies he would do is instead of getting very specific, he would just say respiration aggravated from anger. And he wouldn't say exactly what. So you have these here. Let me just drag this into the clipboard. And let me go back to the search function. And then you'll see here, asthmatic after anger. That's more specific. There's more remedies there. Asthmatic after emotions. So let's look at the authors. We put those in there. So you've got different authors here: Kent, Borky, Fatak, Tyler, Massimo Maglivori. So if somebody's getting angry and then they're having difficulty breathing, you can combine these. So we put that in there, search function, there's suppressed emotions. After emotions, we can put that in there. I'm just grabbing it with my mouse and pulling it in. Asthmatic from vexation, pull that in there. If you want, you can even just drag your mouse over it. You can see arsenicum, asthmatic from vexation. Holding the breath from anger. That's actually, this is a newer rubric and it's actually very helpful. I remember years ago, I had one or two cases where we had pediatric cases and the kids would hold their breath and we didn't have this rubric. And you can see Farouk Master is really the author of this rubric. So if you ever have a case where you have a child and they get so angry they hold their breath until they pass out sometimes, the remedy that you're looking for is probably in here. So anyway, we've got, as you can see here, chamomile is a big one. Let me just pull my, so there are 4 symptoms, 27 remedies, right? But if we want to cast a wide net, what I would do is I would command click on all of these. I would right click and then I would group them together. Same thing. And then you've got all of your remedies that the emotion of anger affects the lungs. And then if we go to the search function, notice when I clicked, let me just go back here. I double clicked on it. Notice it's taking up the whole window. And I go to search and then this side window pops back up. If I want to open that back up, I just double click on the search function. So that's respiration. Then here's cough. Cough after anger, 28 remedies. Cough from emotions, 26 remedies. Cough from grief, hysterical attacks. Cough after vexation. So these are just different strategies. You know, trying to find these individually will take a lot more time than it does to just put in the words. So we have the emotion of anger. And remember, anger is human specific, right? If you look up mind.
Hi, Dr.
Anger.
Matt.
Yes.
Sorry for interruption. We have another session in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Thank you. So let me just wrap this up. Anger is human specific. There's nothing relevant about anger when it comes to homeopathics. Okay. So what makes these rubrics important is because the emotion of anger is triggering a concomitant. It's triggering a cough. It's triggering shortness of breath. 9 out of 10 cases, if somebody gets angry, it's not going to affect their lungs. It's not going to affect the cough. It's not going to affect their physiology in that way. So that's what makes these rubrics more homeopathically relevant than just the emotion of anger. So anyway, I didn't mean to go over. Apologize. I hope everybody got something out of this. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And everybody take care. Thank you.